Hi, I'm jewelry designer Wendy Brandis. Welcome to my channel. I hope that you will subscribe and hear me talk about jewelry, fashion, animals, books, politics. I talk about whatever I want because I am my own boss. We are currently in the thick of awards seasons. We have the Oscars coming up. We've already had the Golden Globes, the SAG Awards, and the Grammys. And that means we're also in the season where at least one celebrity has a big story about how fashion designers refuse to dress her. Now there's a lot of egregious behavior in the fashion industry and fashion adjacent industries like mine, but I was a journalist before I was a jewelry designer. And when I hear this story about, quote, designers won't dress me, I have a lot of questions that are very rarely answered in the popular press. The first question I have is, what are you asking for if you're a celebrity or anyone approaching a designer? Are you going into a store with what my husband and I like to call green American dollars and saying that I want to buy something here? In that case, you should be treated great. No one should give you the up and down look like Julia Roberts' character got in Pretty Woman, where they didn't like how she looked and they wouldn't serve her, and then she went and spent all this money everywhere and came back and said, big mistake, big, huge, and she had all her shopping bags. If you're going in as a customer, you should be treated with the courtesy any customer deserves. The other possibility is, are you going to a designer and asking for the free use of a showroom or runway sample? I think when people, let me call them civilians, people outside the fashion industry, when they see photos or videos of a runway show, that it looks just like a fabulous party. There's celebrities, there's famous editors wearing their sunglasses indoors, there's bloggers dressed outrageously, and it doesn't really look like a business situation, but it is a business situation. The most important attendees of a fashion show are not the people who get all the camera time. They're the people who are buyers for retailers. A buyer is there to look at the runway samples, and there could be 30 looks in a smaller show, 50, 60, there could be 80 looks. And buyers from different stores are there to pick out what their store is going to buy. The store will then say, look at the runway sample, think, oh, this will work for my customers, and then they place the order for what is a production run. So there's the singular sample, and you say now, I want it in sizes 2 through 18. Now, admittedly, a lot of high-end stores will get it in maybe 2, 4, and 6, and that's unacceptable and sizist, but that's an issue of production and sales. It has nothing to do with the runway sample, which was always going to be just one size. Our runway samples, often ridiculously small, which it gets into this cycle of pressuring the models to be small, and then the fashion designers say, oh, I'm making the samples so small because the models are. Yes, that's a fact. But even if you change the sample sizes and, let's say, made them all a size 10, or made them all, you know, you could do one is a 2, one is a 16, but they're all still going to fit just one size or something close to that size where you can make alterations. If you made all your sample sizes a size 10, it's still not going to fit 18. So why doesn't a designer then make every sample a size 0 to size 22 or above, so that all of their 80 looks have, you know, 20 sizes to choose from? Well, that's a production run. Then it's not a sample anymore. The sample has to be one thing so we can see if the stores want to buy it. If the stores don't want to buy it, you don't need this big range of sizes around, just in case someone walks in off the street, says, I'm famous, let me borrow something for free. That's a huge investment you're putting out for no return. So if you are any celebrity and you come in off the street and you're not a sample size, it doesn't matter if the sample could have been 10. If you're above that, it's still not going to fit. There's still only going to be one sample. That is the whole purpose of a sample, to be an example of something that then can be ordered in a larger range of sizes. What if you're not asking for a free runway sample, something that already exists? There's a lot of people, they're going to the Grammys or they're going to the Oscars, and of course this is a huge moment for you professionally, and what you really want is a custom-made gown, because this moment might never come again. Now, there are times that someone in the entertainment industry is such a hot commodity that designers will be competing to give them a free custom-made gown. But let's think about it. Free. No one is entitled. This is a business decision for advertising and marketing. No one is automatically entitled to a free gown. I am a jewelry designer. If you come to me, I might be willing to loan. I might be able to give you a wholesale price, but I'm not obligated to make you a free thing because for the sake of exposure. Gowns for the Oscars don't have to be $20,000, $25,000. It's not the price of a car. It's great if you're someone like Lady Gaga and Armani wants to collaborate with you, and I don't know what the financial arrangement was there, but if they want to make you a one-of-a-kind thing, that's spectacular. But I've gone to the Oscars a couple times. Obviously I wasn't up for an award, but it's still pretty big even to go as a guest. I've been to the Vanity Fair Oscar party a lot of times. I have gone in dresses that cost me $60 on eBay. I've gone in dresses for $300, and one time I did get a custom-made dress for a whopping $1,500. It does not have to be, no matter what size you are, it's doable on a reasonable budget, something that I would say, you know, wedding gown or below for a completely custom-made dress. If you're in movies and you're going to the Oscars and it's a big movie and the studio can afford it, maybe you should be asking them about them paying for a stylist who can interact with designers on your behalf. If it's a smaller movie or, you know, something in music where you have to really beware if they give you something, they might be making you pay for it later, talk to your accountant. It is a business expense to go to one of these big events. For instance, in December, Mullally, I hope I'm saying her name right, who I adore, she played Karen on Will and Grace. She said she was going to be hosting the 2019 Screen Actors Guild Awards, and she was on Instagram saying, "Looks like I will be buying my dress online per my usual, even though there's a literally 100% chance I will be on camera because I'm hosting it," because she said she does not have a stylist and designers do not send me dresses. For those who don't know, a stylist is someone who works frequently with fashion designers and can often call in favors that you can't because you're not talking to them all the time. So I didn't really understand why she didn't have a stylist for the SAG Awards, because that sounds like something that should have been negotiated in her contract to me. If someone invited me to be hosting something, I would ask them, are you providing hair, makeup, stylist? You know, a lot of times hosts change outfit numerous times. I don't understand why she didn't have that help. I also don't understand what's so atrocious about buying your own dress. You know, any regular people like me, you know, who are watching this, I'm sure you buy your own dresses for events. Maybe use Rent the Runway once in a while, but there's nothing so offensive in paying your green American dollars for a dress. I think there's a strange entitlement of demanding a free dress when you don't have relationships with someone, and you know the first thing you do is go to the press and say no one's offering me a free dress. Mullally, when she made this complaint, among the designers who step up, because people step up all the time, was Christian Siriano, and I've got to give him a lot of credit. He is very inclusive in his designs. He has come up for a number of people. So if you're having a problem finding, you know, that you feel very entitled to a free dress, not a dress that you buy, if you don't start with Christian Siriano, to me, you're not very serious in exploring these options. I have worked with other designers myself who put the thin, tall models, impossible, you know, these impossible rare physiques on the runway, but really their paying customers are all women over 50 and women over size 18. They are out there. There's more than 5 designers, there's more than 10 designers. There are a lot of designers out there. So when you say no designers will dress me, you haven't started even talking to Christian, who's fantastic. I feel like you're just kind of stunting on us, aren't you? Christian Siriano really came through in a very noticeable way in 2016 for Saturday Night Live actress and comedian Leslie Jones, who is, you know, defies the traditional Eurocentric look. That definitely no runway samples for her. She's around my age, so she was like probably close to 50 when this happened. She's 6 feet tall. She has a very dark complexion. Like when she said that no one was going to work with her, I could totally believe that, because there are people who are ageist, sizist, racist, everything in the fashion industry, just like there are anywhere else. obviously I couldn't do anything clothing wise, but I love Leslie. I said, you know, if there's any jewelry you need, I'm up for it. And Christian Siriano came through for her. He's like slid into her DMs, and he's dressed her a few times, I think. So I feel like he has a reputation for being very inclusive and helpful, and he's your #1 guy. If you haven't started with him, what are you doing? More recently, the big complaint about the Grammys was from a singer-songwriter named Bebe Rexha. I hope I'm getting her name said right. She wrote The Monster, which was a huge hit for Eminem and Rihanna. I saw her perform it with Eminem at Coachella. She's great. I hope she wouldn't mind my saying this, but I would say she's conventionally attractive. I mean, some people might consider that kind of an insult. I want to be edgily attractive, if anyone considers me attractive at all. But you know, she's Eurocentric looking. She's got blonde hair. She says she's a size 8. And she also complained that no one wanted to dress her in what she wanted to be a Cinderella type look for the Grammys. So again, if I was just chatting with Bebe, I would just really like to know, it seems to me that she was looking for a free custom-made piece, which, like, good for you. Have your hustle. Why write off a paid dress as a business expense if you could get something for free? But it is a little demanding, and I would love to know. I would absolutely name and shame a designer who really told her that she was too fat at a size 8 for a dress, a custom-made dress. It would be so much easier to say I don't have time, which is often true because you have to turn these around fast. Maybe they're working with someone else. Maybe they are just tired of celebrities asking for free things, because that has happened both to me and as a jewelry designer loaning things out. I've had to cut back on that because of people not treating the pieces with respect. So I would just like to know how she went about it, and who went about it for her. Was it a connected stylist? Because if it was a stylist that you were paying to, you know, gather up these options, then the first thing I do is fire the stylist, because the stylist's whole point is to have connections and make these things happen. When Bebe put this complaint on Instagram saying that designers refused to dress her because she was, quote, too big, all these designers again reached out to her. I mean, that, you know, was a story that went everywhere. Even Karl Lagerfeld reached out to her. I mean, that's a big thing. Guess who else reached out to her? Christian Siriano, because he will always come through. And that just made me wonder, did you reach out to him in the first place? He would be my #1 choice if you have, I mean, she's, you know, she's not plus size. She's conventionally pretty. I can't understand why she would think she's going to have a big problem. But if I thought I was going to have a big problem and I insisted on not paying for something, Christian would be, he's a great guy, he would be the place that I would start. Bebe ended up going with a gorgeous princess type gown from a designer called Mansouri, which was just one of the many options she would have had once she kind of got her story out into the world. And then I'm looking at a story about this, and it says that her whole experience begs the question of whether non-sample size women will get these opportunities to dress for the red carpet. And it's just, I'm sorry, there's so much entitlement in assuming that you get a custom-made free gown. It takes a lot of work. It takes a designer who can afford to do it. We can't all afford to do it. And regular people, you know, regular people I'm talking to now, you have your wedding dress, you have maybe, you know, a special occasion dress. You buy your dresses. These people can buy their dresses too and probably write them off. I don't understand why it's a big issue that not everyone gets a dress for free, because that is the choice of a designer in a business. In the same article, I mean, I'm glad this guy Laquan Smith, a designer who I really like his work. He says you know, it's not that the designers don't want to dress these women, but in the event of smaller designers, it's A, have we even been presented with the opportunity? Because yeah, I see people who aren't asked at all. And B, if we're presented with the opportunity and there's no budget involved, we take on the financial burden or bend over backwards to basically hope to be placed on the red carpet. It's never guaranteed. Even custom pieces might never be worn. People change their minds at the last minute. You don't feel good in the dress. Most designers, when they have dressed someone big for the red carpet, until they see her on the red carpet or see him on the red carpet, they do not know if it's really happening. So they took that financial risk on your behalf for the benefit of exposure. And let me tell you, when you're a smaller business and you don't have the backing of, say, a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, like someone like Dior or Gucci has, when you pay your rent, your office rent, or your rent at home, you can't say to the people who are expecting money from you, but look, I got this article in a magazine, I got great exposure. People still want money. I personally will work with anyone who is a nice customer. I've been known to give people good prices. There are people who hit up fine jewelers, small fine jewelers repeatedly, trying to get gifts in return for exposure, which could amount to a $3,000 loss for me in return for an Instagram post that spells my name wrong. That didn't happen to me, but happened to someone I know. So people are constantly asking you for free goods. And while there's so many problems in the fashion industry when it comes to discrimination of all kinds, not wanting to give people stuff for free is not one of them. If you walk in as a customer and they give you attitude, you're a customer ready to spend money, they should treat you like a god as long as you're a nice customer. You know, people who work in retail know what happens in dressing rooms. Some weird stuff goes down. So not everyone's like wonderful to work with, but you've come in, you're a nice person, you're ready to spend money. People should work with you. They should not give you the up and down Julia Roberts pretty woman thing. You should be treated great. But when you come in asking for free stuff, yeah, you might be treated differently. I'm going to have more to say about the logistics of really making things that people wear. But in the meantime, if you have questions about sample sizes and how I think they have gotten too small, but how they can't fit everyone by definition because there are samples, or you have questions about how much it costs to make something for free for someone, or anything else related to what I've said, just leave them in the comments and I will answer them in a future video. And in the meantime, enjoy watching the Oscars.